Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Common Sense Critical Thinking with the Silent Militia. And I thought, what better than to do something for the first episode that we all know and love, and that is TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. I thought it'd be a good idea to do an episode on this for two reasons. The first reason, obviously, we've all been enjoying the liberal meltdowns for the last few months, and watching the liberal media completely disintegrate has been pretty awesome. And the other reason is I actually have some footage for you of a severely, terminally ill case of Trump derangement syndrome. Let's get into this. All right, everybody. So this Trump derangement syndrome phenomena that's been going on lately is really fascinating to me. I mean, I kind of thought it would start to kind of peter out after a while, but no. Some of these cases are getting worse. And in some cases, I actually think the people might need to seek some actual professional help. And just to give you a couple examples of this Trump derangement syndrome, this first clip I have is from HBO. It's John Oliver. And I'm assuming that he's supposed to be making fun of Trump and all the stuff that he's done in a short period of time. But to be completely honest with you, I think Trump should use this as his next campaign ad.
Just the past 4 weeks, he's pardoned or commuted the sentences of January 6th rioters, withdrew the US from both the Paris Accords and the WHO, announced plans to take over Gaza, issued an executive order trying to undo birthright citizenship, blamed the fatal DC plane crash on DEI, renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, responded to fires in LA County by releasing billions of gallons of water to California's Central Valley 150 miles away, replaced a 4-star general with the host of Fox and Friends as Secretary of Defense, and announced 25% tariffs on Canada and...
Now, as you can see right there, John Oliver is clearly a little bit unhinged, but like I said, thank you for pointing out all the incredible things that Trump's done in a short period of time. Now, the next example that I have here for you is, I'm not really sure, I think her name is something Rubin. She's really a good example of one of these media elites that at least think they're elite, who are completely and totally irrelevant at this point, and they're just so trying to hold on to every little last bit of power that they have, which is virtually nothing at this point. But take a listen to this, and I think it's really good to note that there's some common themes that we hear a lot of times with a lot of these people who suffer from this, and it's that condescending, smug attitude, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And the thing that's hilarious about this is that these are the people who claim to be all-inclusive, and we love everybody, and, you know, we're not the party of hate, and all this, but yet, every time you hear them talk, they are putting down people who supported Trump. They're talking about how Trump supporters are not intelligent, and so on and so forth. And yet, they're the ones that are being completely faded and phased out of society. Makes you wonder. So take a listen to this one.
About this, Republicans want to kill your kids. It's actually true.
So Republicans want to kill my kids. I'm pretty sure that's not true, but okay. And that's the thing, is they just get away with saying these most ridiculous things. And the really frustrating part about this is that anytime somebody from the right brings up this or says something, they completely go unhinged and get bent out of shape. But yet they can spew all this ridiculous nonsense, false news, and nobody cares. And I think it's really important that we start bringing this to light, because I think it's important that we hold them accountable for their ridiculous rhetoric. And the thing, too, about it that I've noticed is that they're really feeding a lot of these people who are suffering from severe mental disorders, and they're just feeding into it. You know, I've kind of made some parallels to, like, the Manson family, for example. Yeah, you're right. Charles Manson did not kill anybody, but he sure as hell got some people to do some very bad things. And essentially, people like this Rubin lady and MSNBC and CNN, they're essentially egging people on and feeding their hysteria. And I think it's really irresponsible of these outlets. Let's take a look at this next clip. And this is, like I said, a really good example of the condescending, just smug attitude. I mean, really, we would all be so much better off without these people anywhere. Not just in the United States, but anywhere, to be honest with you. They are really ugly people.
Why would ABC, Disney, the mouse, who has more money than God, settle with Donald Trump?
I honestly don't know.
You know, I've asked, why would ABC? But people ask me all the time, why is the media so mamsy-pamsy? And there are two explanations. One is they are convinced that if they would just move a little bit to the right, all those MAGA readers out there, now you'll notice the contradiction in terms, MAGA readers, would pick up the Washington Post and they would have more readers. What is the logical fallacy here? Yes,
Okay, so, like I said, I'm sure you picked up on the smug, condescending attitude that they have. And like I said, who is this lady? Like, who really cares? And I think it's really sad, to be honest with you, at like how they have this small group of supporters that worship their every word, and somehow they convolute that into like them being important and having a voice when they should really retire gracefully into the night. You know what I mean? Anyway, so look at this next one. Now, this is just a relatively common thing that we see now on TikTok. And this is somebody who is somehow convinced that concentration camps are coming for LGBTQ people. Now, once again, this is a good example of how this left-wing propaganda has really sunken into some people's heads. Now, don't get me wrong, I think a lot of these people had issues to start with, but like I said, I just think it's very irresponsible of the mainstream media, of the Democratic Party, to constantly feed this, and it's pushing people over the edge. It's really making people get to a point that is, I think, personally kind of harmful for their well-being. But take a look at this guy.
With concentration camps looming in the United States, here's what queer people are doing. Yes, I said concentration camps. You can MAGA. We are getting a go bag ready. We're going to have a go bag with shoes, clothes for 7 days, dehydrated food, think astronaut food, for 7 days. We're going to have $1,000 cash or prepaid credit card on hand. And this is just for the emergency. This isn't for permanency. This is for a week of getting by off the grid. We're going to have anything ready for the pets that we're taking with us. So put some cat litter in your...
Okay, so one of the things I think is absolutely hilarious about this guy is, did you notice that in his go bag, where normal people, when they pack a go bag, you know, you're going to pack food, not astronaut ice cream, and you're going to pack enough supplies for you and your family. You're going to probably pack a gun and some ammo, you know, and I wouldn't take money if you think that everything's going to fall apart. I would take gold. I would take things that you can trade. But no, this guy's plan is to take $1,000 and some cat litter and some astronaut ice cream, and that's going to get him by. These people don't think through what they're actually going to do. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me, like, where this insanity is coming from. And that's the thing too, is like anybody that actually packs a legitimate go bag, I mean, they're looking at things like, oh, the grid's going to go down, or, you know, I won't have access to clean water because of an earthquake, or because of this, or because of that. At what point did anybody ever even hint at the idea that we were going to round up LGBTQ people and put them in concentration camps? I just don't get it. All right, so this next clip here, the reason why I put this one in there is because the left, and especially that Rubin chick we listened to recently, they always like to like claim how intelligent they are, and they're the ones that are educated, and this and that and the other thing. And so I thought this was a perfect clip to show, yeah, you're not the most intelligent group out there. And yeah, I'm not saying there aren't a few of you that have been to college, and, you know, not that that helped anything, because clearly a lot of college people that graduated from colleges are more twisted and more confused than most people. But I thought this was a great example of people who support a lot of these woke, liberal ideas, and how they're completely clueless and they do no research whatsoever.
Between these two choices, who would you say is more likely to be supportive of the LGBTQ community?
Oh, this
Okay, why would you say that?
dude. Because he's a brown person and he's not for Trump.
Do you think the fact that he's part of Hamas would stop him from supporting that community?
Not at all.
Probably number one.
Number one?
Palestinians.
Why would you say that?
Because Trump supporters are typically anti-LGBT.
Number one? Okay, what makes you say that?
They just look kinder.
Kinder. Do you think that, you know, somebody that's, say, a member of Hamas would be supportive of the gay community?
Okay, obviously you can tell from that one that not everybody who supports these woke liberal ideas is necessarily intelligent. I mean, the guy literally had a shirt on that said Hamas, and these people didn't either realize it or they just didn't know that Hamas would probably chop off their head if they could for being gay. And I think this is a kind of a good example of just how absolutely brainwashed and confused these people are. They literally talk about how they're the ones that are the free thinkers, and they're the ones that, you know, think for themselves and all this and that, and they're, you know, they're not part of the Trump cult. But yet they all have the exact same talking points, and on top of that, they don't do any research whatsoever. They literally just listen to, I don't know, MSNBC or whatever, and then they just run with it. And then they just go online or watch the news the next night to see what the next talking point is. And they don't do any research. They don't look into it. They don't find out the facts. They just blindly believe whatever these propaganda machines are telling them. All right. With that said, let's get on to the main event. So, there's this woman at my work who waters the plants. She's very left-wing, and I think it's fair to say that she's definitely a feminazi. Like, every single conversation I have, or most of the conversation I have with her, somehow get around to how men are keeping her down, and she, you know, doesn't make enough because she's a woman, and she has no opportunities because she's a woman, and so she's hardcore feminazi. But then on top of that, which kind of goes hand in hand, she's also a really hardcore left-wing supporter. So a while ago, I kind of asked her the question, you know, I get it. You don't like Donald Trump. You don't agree with Elon Musk, and you don't think that he was put into the position that he's in for the Doge. You think that's unconstitutional. That's another thing she uses, unconstitutional. Everything is unconstitutional. It's just like her go-to when she disagrees with something. But the interesting thing is that I brought up with her, I said, let's not talk about that because we're just going to go round and round in circles and we're never going to agree. So what I asked her was, if Doge finds corruption or finds wasteful spending, I think we both can agree that that's a good thing for both sides. Like, no matter what side of the aisle you're from, if they find ways for the United States to save money and hopefully, in the long run, save taxpayers money, that's a win-win, right? It seems like a pretty straightforward question, but whoa, nope. That is not where it went with her. And that's the thing, is they don't really answer the questions. They just throw out all this other rhetoric and they convolute every conversation down to these ridiculous talking points. And it's really hard to have conversations with these people. I mean, honestly, if you want to have an intelligent conversation, I beg for the day I have an intelligent conversation with somebody who truly is left-leaning. And I'm starting to think that it doesn't exist. But take a look at this clip.
But the richest man in the world, who can win and lose wars just by his starlight, and which he's proven to do when he shut off
Wait,
starlight.
you're talking about Trump or
I'm talking about Leo.
Oh, Elon, okay.
Leon, because that's what Trump called him. Now, if the king calls him Leon, I call him Leon. So, King Trump said Leon is basically in charge. So, what my concerns 6 months ago when I said if Trump wins, he's just a Trojan horse, what's going to crawl out of his chest? Leon, the richest man in the world, who has a hand in so many military things. He's an African. Go back to Africa. He came in illegally. He came in as a student who lied. He didn't really go to school. So even his presence in this country, with all the control that he has, because he's come out of Trump's chest, concerns me. So what he finds is frightening because he literally has the pulse of the entire world. And he can, on his own whim, on his racist, terrible whim. I'm talking about Leon. I'm not talking about Trump.
But why do you think Elon Musk is racist?
Because he had a Hitler salute.
Yeah. You have smoked yourself retarded.
Because he doesn't like, he was raised, black people, he was raised in apartheid South Africa. Come on, do a little homework, and you'll find Leon quite racist. Things I just don't want who's finding them to have that much power.
Let's say hypothetically that was the only person that could find this
That's
stuff.
not the only person who
then
could
why
find
haven't
something.
we found it for 4 years?
He doesn't have clearance in that division. He doesn't get a blanket. So get clearance. So get your minions to have clearance. Legitimately bring them in and have them go through Congress and have them go through everything that everybody else has to do. He cut in line. And whatever he finds, it's just like if the police chief went to the fire department and said, I'm going to be police chief now. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's finding. He doesn't know that cutting that is going to starve children or make it so there's no bilingual education.
He doesn't have control over what they do and don't pay. He's just finding information.
Money, it's all about money.
Yeah.
And when you slice money, then you affect people, us. And I don't like that the richest man in the world who wants the best, he wants to have, like, the consumer thing that he's shutting down right now, he's in trouble. Teslas were on fire 6 years ago. Those cases go away. You don't think that he's got something in it for him? That's my concern. Everything that he has in it for him.
If he finds waste and corruption, all agree that that's good.
Hand it over to people of authority.
Well, he is.
He's not. He's shutting shit down.
Well, no,
Stuff is shut down.
But like I said, though,
He's
it's not.
shut
It's not like he can actually shut it down. He has to run it
Okay,
through.
he's going to Trump, who's shutting it down. Again, coming out of the Trojan horse's chest. He is a puppet to the puppet master. I said it 6 months ago, it's happened. God love you.
All right, thank you.
I do agree that there is corruption. I just don't think that he's the one who should be having him to do it.
Stop it. Get some help.
Okay, so there's a couple things we need to hit on that one. First and foremost, I think it's really, really rich and kind of racist, to be honest with you, that she's sitting here saying Elon Musk needs to go back to South Africa. I mean, come on. This is coming from the party that is against deportations and loves everybody and everybody's welcome and this and that. Yet, since somebody supports Elon or somebody supports Trump, get him out of here. Get out of here. Go back to South Africa. And clearly, everybody that was in South Africa during the apartheid is obviously a racist. I mean, that's obvious, right? My God. The other point that I think is worth bringing up is the do a little homework. Really, do a little homework. Yeah. Why don't you take your own advice and actually do a little homework instead of just listening to MSNBC? You know? I mean, I don't know. It wouldn't hurt to look at a couple other news sources. Maybe pull your head out of your behind and realize that MSNBC is losing followers left and right. They are basically the Titanic sinking right now. But yet, you know what? That has nothing to do with it. You know what? That's because everybody's too stupid to understand what they're talking about, except for her. Of course, because the lady that waters plants is a genius. Anyways, the other part that I think is really interesting about this whole conversation is, did you notice when I brought up, well, what if Elon Musk is the only person that can find these problems and find the wasteful spending? Well, I think obviously, yeah, he's probably not the only person. But the point that I was trying to make is that the Biden administration for 4 years has just been letting all this ridiculous spending, wasteful spending, corruption just go. They've just been literally turning their head and just like, oh, I don't know. And mainly it's probably because, well, as we're finding out, they were benefiting from a lot of this. Like a lot of this wasteful spending was ending up in their bank account. And that's my point, is that, yes, I get that Elon Musk, in the position that he's in, is a little, it's not the norm. But until he does something that, I can say like, oh, that was clearly for his own benefit or whatever, then yeah, I'll start questioning that. But at this point, the guy is literally spending his own money to set up a Tesla grid across the United States. I saw a report not too long ago that I don't remember what it was. It was like we spent like hundreds of, I don't know, it was a couple $1 billion because the government was supposed to set up a charging station grid across the United States and, to help with, make it more economical or more realistic to buy a electric car. And in the 4 years or whatever, they've built like 10 stations. Yet Elon Musk built charging stations all across the United States on his own dime. I just don't understand. Like, these people really just hate anybody who even remotely decides to support Trump, love America. Anyways, let's get on to the next one.
Yes.
Where do you get your news from?
NPR, MSNBC. Where do you get yours?
From as many different sources as I possibly can.
That's vague.
What do you mean it's vague?
As many different sources could be MSNBC, could be
I do. I
NPR.
watch Fox, I watch MSNBC, I watch ABC,
Okay, well, those
I
are-
watch CNN. I get a lot of
Those
stuff
are
from YouTube,
specifics.
from people who are like independent. Obviously, the mainstream media is falling apart,
and proven to be not reliable. So I think you really do need to do a little legwork and find some information. Because Rachel Maddow and Joy Reid, blows my mind that they allowed them to continue on calling themselves reporters when it's clearly just entertainment at this point.
Well, you just referred to Fox News, and that is declared an entertainment show. It is legally not a news show.
Yeah, I know. And so is MSNBC, and so is CNN.
MSNBC is a news outlet. It has not been proven to be an entertainment show, much like Fox, because Fox has come up.
So do you trust MSNBC to give you the facts?
I would say I trust the AP. Oh, I'm sorry, AP's not allowed to go into the White House anymore because they refuse to say, what is it, golf? Associated Press is international. It abides by international names, and since Mount McKinley is in the United States, Trump has a right to change it to Mount McKinley again, because then an AP will call it Mount McKinley. But because the Gulf of Mexico is an international name and is not in the waters of the United States, it's not calling it.
So you haven't heard any of the information that's been coming out about MSNBC at all? About them disproving everything that they've been saying and that they...
Who's giving you the information that everything they're saying?
All these other news organizations.
What? News are YouTube and Fox.
Yes.
And Fox is an entertainment.
They're all losing ratings. They're dropping.
Fox is the number one news
MSNBC has dropped. Joy Reid, I don't know, she had one of her news segments, and a rerun of Ancient Aliens show about how the pyramids...
It's a racist show saying only aliens could have done what indigenous people did for millions of years.
Wait, it's racist?
Yeah.
How is saying the aliens built the pyramids racist?
Because indigenous people built the pyramids. Colored people of any color, brown,
That's not
black.
racist.
Yes, it's racist. You've never heard that?
I've heard that aliens built the pyramids, but I've never heard somebody say it's racist.
It is racist. It's a racist concept to say that only white people could have made the pyramids.
They're not saying white people did it. They're saying aliens did it.
Right, or indigenous people.
The little gray guys with the big eyes, they're not white.
Aliens over indigenous people. That's what they're saying. So that's why it's racist. You didn't come to that conclusion by yourself.
Wait, you're joking with me right now.
No, I'm not.
Get the fuck out of here, Tommy.
What a ridiculous concept that aliens built.
No, I agree it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous,
but I don't think the guys...
That is exactly what...
I don't think they're doing it from a standpoint of racism. I think they're doing it from, well, mainly entertainment.
That a race, that aliens making the pyramids over brown people would be racist? That we would rather think that aliens did it than brown people? Yeah. It's not hard to come.
But I don't think it's racist.
Okay, well, you have a right to think what you think.
No, I know, but like I said,
Which is a racist concept.
That's where I disagree. I don't think the motivation behind the show, I don't think was racism. I think it was more just, there might be, because everybody wants to know if there's aliens out there. So somebody was like, there's proof that there's aliens because they helped build the pyramids because we can't figure out how people did it.
How really smart indigenous people made it. It is beyond their concept. So they decided to say, it must have been aliens because there's no way on God's green earth that brown people figured that out. Period. Am I right? Yeah.
What about Stonehenge?
White people. Nobody ever said Stonehenge was...
Oh no, they think Stonehenge was built by aliens too.
Well, not like we hear about the pyramids.
But I think that proves what I'm saying is that the people that are saying this stuff are not saying it from a...
Stonehenge was probably not white people at that point. They would probably have been Romans, and Romans came from the Mediterranean.
No, Stonehenge was way before the Romans. It was the Druids. It was way before Romans. Rome took over England. Way before. Like Stonehenge, I believe they think is even older than the pyramids. I mean, that's why these stone circles are so mysterious to us, because we have very little information about the people who built them and why they built them.
So the reason Joy and MSNBC, their ratings have gone down so low is because we're all so fucking tired of it. And they're coming back. I'm telling you, as a member of my own cult, I'm tired. And now I'm back. But I'm back in small bites. Because what's happening is so disastrous.
Well, they better come back quicker because they're about ready to declare bankruptcy on both of those.
No, I'm here, but they're not. They won't.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Okay, so there you go. If you had Nazi aliens on your bingo card for 2025, well, mark that square because I sure as hell didn't. I mean, really? Did you get that? Like, okay, let's first touch on the original question. Yeah, she listens to MSNBC. And did you notice how she backs them up? And it's amazing to me that she hasn't, like, with all the information that's out there now, and it's not just coming from right-wing supporters or anything. I mean, even CNN, to a certain extent, is starting to realize that they can't just be this left-wing propaganda machine because they're going to go out of business. But unfortunately, MSNBC, they're just doubling down on all this stuff. I mean, seriously, people are tuning in to MSNBC like they're tuning into The View. I mean, it's like the new version of Jerry Springer. And I just think that's absolutely mind-blowing that, like, clearly she's not getting news from really that many sources if, like, the only thing she is really, like, grabbing onto is stuff from the Associated Press and from MSNBC, and, you know, like, she is so indoctrinated that I don't know if there's, I don't even know if there's hope to save her at this point. Like, seriously, like, just lock her up, put her in the padded cell, get the straitjacket out, because, I mean, you know, at some point you gotta just say, hey, this is a lost cause. But more importantly, I think this really kind of encapsulates what I was talking about, is that these left-leaning people they're insane. They're absolutely insane. And it's not just when it comes to politics. Like, the fact that you could somehow misconstrued a show like Ancient Aliens, which, I mean, honestly, like, I've watched the show. It's entertaining. And yeah, they bring up some interesting points. I don't know. Maybe aliens helped. Maybe they didn't. But by no means are the people who created that show trying to say that there's no way that brown people could have done it, because that's why we have to that's why we have to say aliens did it, because obviously no brown people can't do anything. I mean, come on. That is not the motivation for the show. It never isn't. I'm speechless at this point. I'm absolutely speechless. And I really had to show this to everybody because, like I said, like, this is a perfect example of just the kind of unhinged craziness that is out there on the side of the left. And I know, like, you could make the argument, like, well, she's just crazy, and not all left people are going to say that Ancient Aliens is a racist show. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I think most people, regardless of what side they're on, are intelligent enough to realize that that show is just a show about a possibility of how the pyramids were built, or how Stonehenge was built, or how the Aztec pyramids were built, you know? And that's the thing that, like, I think is fascinating about this, is that, like I said, this side claims to be the intelligent side, the educated side, yet anybody that does any sort of research about anything, you know, comes across history, and, like, the thing is that, like, I mentioned the Druids to her, and she was like, oh, I don't know, the Romans built Stonehenge. who the hell thinks the Romans built Stonehenge? Come on. I mean, Stonehenge has been around for well before the Romans were there. I mean, way before the Romans. And, like, it's just mind-blowing to me. All right, well, that's all I got for you guys today. Like I said, like and subscribe, share this with your friends. Go to silentmilitia.com, check out the merch. A lot of it is designed by me personally, so you'll find some unique designs on there. Every little bit helps the channel out. And until next time, don't let the aliens get you. So, I'll talk to you later.